Okay, Alpha Dog Blab with special guests today. Some of the foremost geniuses in the technosphere of the car business, masters of the Jedi Galaxy. I'm telling you, these guys are awesome. We got Greg Gifford, a handsome gentleman next to me with a big beard.
Oh wait, where's the power?
May the force be with us. And this is one of the foremost local SEO experts in the world. And down in the lower screen, we've got Sean Rains. Sean, you're going to be doing a little social media stuff today, right?
That's right.
Okay, I'm going to open it up with a question for Greg first. Greg, if I'm going to market a car dealership on the internet, what's my first priority?
Making sure that people see the site. You've got to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row. Now, sure, I'd love if everybody come buy SEO from me, but whether you get it from me or from somebody else.
Well, where do you work starting out? Where do you work?
I'm at DealerOn. I run the SEO department for DealerOn. And nowadays, every car dealership has a website. We're beyond the days of, okay, I got to get a website to compete. Everybody's got one now. And in most markets, even the small towns, you're going to have more than 10 dealerships when you count new cars and used cars together. And in that situation, that means there's people that aren't going to be on page one. And you want to be as high as possible on page one to get the most possible traffic. And that means you're going to have to do more than just have a website and leave it out there. So you're going to have to do SEO. You're going to have to do PPC. You're going to have to do social media. All of these things combined together are going to be the best battle plan for your dealership. Little plug there for you.
Okay, so you gotta have SEO, and you're gonna talk about local SEO, aren't you?
Yeah. So most people don't realize there's two kinds of SEO. So you've got regular traditional SEO where you're doing things to signals on a website and off of a website to get that website to show up whenever somebody does a search in Google for, a particular keyword or a couple of keywords. With local SEO, you're only targeting one specific geographic area. And the best example of this that I always give to people is, let's say you're sitting at the dealership and you go into Google and you type in pizza delivery and you don't put in a city. Google's going to show you pizza delivery spots that are right there by the dealership. And then if you go home that night and do the exact same search, again, just for pizza delivery, Google's going to show you stuff that's by your house instead. So even though the search query was exactly the same, you get a completely different set of results. And that's because Google knows where you're located by your IP address. And it wants to give you results that are nearby. Because obviously, if you want a pizza delivered, you need something nearby. So it treats a lot of different locally oriented businesses the same way. And car dealerships are one of those business types. So when someone is doing an automotive related search, Google's going to automatically return those local results. So local SEO is a more complicated subset of regular SEO where there are additional signals involved. So dealerships that do some SEO is obviously better than nothing, but the best thing to do for your dealership is to do local SEO where you're adding in those additional signals and really targeting your specific area as hard as you possibly can.
So we're going to dive into that a little deeper in a minute. Sean, what's the priority in internet marketing for automobile dealers? Priority, top shelf.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Greg. I'm getting a big echo. You guys get an echo?
You're going to need to go back out and come back in, Sean. Click out and come back in. Okay. Yeah, you got it under control? You're beeping at me,
Hey, Sean, put your speaker to be only the iPhone speaker and not the computer speaker, because that's why you're getting feedback.
How about now?
Oh, wonderful. What's the priority, Sean?
So I don't disagree with Greg. It's search, right? What's
you're
with the
still
echo?
doing it, big guy.
Hold on.
Hey, go back out, sign out, and come right back in.
Okay, hold on.
That's all right. We didn't really want him in here anyway, right?
Okay. Okay, here he comes.
How about now?
No, you're still doing it to us, big guy.
Try talking,
Hello.
dude. All right, hang on one second. I'm going to run across to see if I can.
There we go. I'll do some Johnny Cash or something while we're
More Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Okay. And by the way, when it gets time to applaud for these guys, there's little hands in the bottom, the right-hand corner of the box. you can applaud by there you go, clicking on those two hands. That's applause. I mean, hey, is that Bobby Heron? Hey, Bobby Heron. Oh, she's a diva. I tell you, she's one of my favorites. Okay. Getting Mr. Ren's reverb done here.
Because what you're getting is the slight delay and this.
So which one do you want me to use?
If you can plug this one and turn off your computer, just mute your computer, but have that plugged in or turn your computer way down, that should work.
How do I do that?
I love technical glitches. This is cool.
Go up to your settings here.
How many people saw the new Star Wars movie? Send a message in the bottom corner.
Try settings. Wow, that's awful. It's getting worse and worse.
Oh, yeah, it's really coming in now.
Just go crowd in online.
Yeah, let's do that.
There you go. Okay. I think they're both going to come on the same mic. You both going to use the same video?
All right. We're going to both crowd in over here.
Yeah. We can do that.
We couldn't figure out his computer for some reason, so
Yeah, you're perfect here.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, everybody's sounding good.
All right.
Get a little buddied up there. Okay, I'm cool. Hey, Sean, what's the number one top shelf priority?
I don't disagree with Greg. It starts with search. Some dealers already organically are performing well, so sometimes you balance that with what you do on the paid side. Last week, this was an interesting topic of conversation. You were there. But there are also dealers then that have a really good balance on both paid and organic search. It's still all about traffic to a site. And it's about a site that knows what to do with the traffic, convert it at a higher percentage. But then beyond that, now we have all kinds of things we can do on the social media side as we kind of brings Facebook into the picture about what you can do with advertising there. So if you're a dealership and you've got search handled organically and paid, you definitely now want to start thinking about the gold rush that is really Facebook advertising.
Facebook is killing it.
They are.
2 billion people on Facebook now, and 38% of them are U.S. adults.
It's amazing.
It's where the people are. You know, newspaper advertising, newspaper's only effective if you're trying to train your puppy. Yeah.
Yeah, or if you've got a bird, I suppose you can put it in.
No problem. And how effective is Facebook paid advertising?
It's very effective, but it's in its infancy, right? So there's only a handful of people that really know about it. They recently called out a whole bunch of automotive folks to their headquarters. Greg and I were fortunate enough, kind of blessed to be invited in that pack of folks. They were, that's where you got that. And they really kind of unveiled some things that we knew, and then a whole bunch of things that I don't think people were thinking about. They talked about how dealers are really frustrated with the fact that their timeline, their organic posts really are kind of flat, and then everything that's happening in terms of the hockey stick is the stuff that's paid. And they basically told us that's not our fault. We're not doing anything different with how Facebook itself works. What's happening is that people are realizing that the custom audiences that you can target that are specific to age, location, interests, income level, activities,
How
device,
specific
you can
get?
You don't even want to know how specific
That's
you
why
can
we're
get.
doing this broadcast.
it's scary, right? So you have bulk data. You can find out what people are driving, what they've been driving, where they may be interested. You can get into very specific location data.
Where is this data?
It's inside of Facebook. So when you go in to build your ads and you set your audience inside of Facebook, then you can go in and select different demographic points of data. You can go as simple as location, age, sex. You can start getting into you can start getting into income level. You can even find in-market shoppers. Like, it's really crazy. And then you could say, I want people that like this and don't like this. that are friends with this person and not. It's really, really.
You can get that specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are really two places where people get this information within Facebook. So they have a basic ads manager, which any dealership really could figure out how to use the Facebook ads manager. If it's not something, and Jim, you're very passionate about this, it's like dealers be good at what you do, right? If you need to choose somebody that really knows what they're doing. So it may be that you want to choose somebody that knows how to actually use Facebook ads manager, but beyond that, Facebook has something called Power Editor, and this is really kind of the deeper version of what you can go in and do in terms of setting up specific audiences and ad campaigns, getting into these custom audiences, including they even have they have something called lookalike audience. What's that?
Are we freezing up here?
Yeah, maybe there was a little bit of freeze up.
Okay.
Seems fine. Seems fine now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
so when you build these,
how good is a responsive website? I mean, is the website the third part of the equation?
Website, from DealerOn's perspective, the website is really your centerpiece. It's your hub, right? Everything is going to happen there. So, of course, the technology being responsive, we've been hearing about it now for a couple of years. The importance of that really is so that regardless of device, that you're getting a beautiful experience that doesn't compromise the entire amount of content that a dealership wants to be available to the consumer. So previously in a .m site or a Mobi site, those were smaller versions of what the dealership has on their desktop or their complete site. Now with responsive, if it's built properly, you can access every single piece of content regardless of the size of device you're using, and it looks beautiful. It's presented in a way that's going to help the conversion experience even if you're on a small mobile phone. Very, very important because the website has a job, convert traffic.
Okay, you got social media. How effective is email marketing? Is that still in there?
If you do it right, it can be very effective. The problem is a lot of dealers just blast their email list and they're not doing anything with segmentation. If you're not segmenting your email list, it's just not going to be effective because you're blasting out a message that probably isn't going to apply to the majority of the people on your list. So if you segment your message, you create really good emails, you make sure your emails are responsive so that they'll look good if someone pulls them up on their phone, and you send them to a specific landing page that you built that's specifically designed to convert that email audience, then heck yeah, it's going to work. But if you're just like, hey, here's an email, go see my website and buy a car, then you're not going to get much.
Okay, so build a specific product or promotion landing page. If you're having a sale, build a landing page for that sale. If you and should it take them right to the unit you're talking about?
Well, I mean, because think about it. If you're sending me, if I get an email from a dealership that's got some sort of reason, some call to action there, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm interested, I want to call them, or I want to find out more, and I click on that email, and it just goes to their, to a VDP for a Corvette. Or if it goes to just the inventory search page that says, hey, here's all the Corvettes in stock. Maybe I was looking for a specific set of rims for my Corvette, and I'm just landing on the Corvette landing page. That's not an effective use of email. If you're sending me something that's about a specific offer, you should send me to a page that has more information about that instead of just dropping me on your homepage or dropping me on your list of inventory.
Fantastic. Now, Sean, I interrupted you earlier and threw out some more questions. And by the way, I'm asking questions to which I probably already know the answer. So
of course you do.
I do. So, see, that's my trick. You don't know whether I really know it or don't know it. You talk about social media. Let's get back into Facebook advertising, because that's, people are talking about dark posts, and I'll tell you what, it can leave you behind in a hurry. I'm hearing so much terminology, and it's moving faster than a lot of us can keep up with. So dive a little deeper into Facebook.
So let me talk about dark posts. So dark posts, I think the first person that I heard kind of evangelize the effectiveness of dark posts was Gary Vaynerchuk, maybe getting posted a couple years ago. A dark post is essentially an unpublished post. So where it shows up in your feed is what's different. So it looks like something that should naturally be there. And they do perform well. What Facebook is now pushing heavier, though, is strictly their ad platform, it is meant to be a targeted ad. So I would tell dealers that because it's so cost effective, it's super cheap. It's like the early days of AdWords where the cost per clicks are super, super, super cheap. I would probably be doing both if it were me and my dealership. I would probably be doing some dark posts or unpublished posts. I would probably also do published, which are, you could boost something that you post, which is, you know, the content that you push out, Jim, you know, you've got an option to boost that post. You can put $100 on something and just get that to a targeted audience. That targeted audience could be as simple as everyone that likes the Alpha Dog Facebook page. It could be a custom audience of email addresses that you have acquired over time from maybe NADA, where you go and you're exhibiting there, and then you have a database or an email address list that you can market to. So you can build those custom audiences, and you can push posts there that are boosted posts. You can also set up your ads to go to those specific folks as well. And then beyond that, one of the things that is really interesting, that I find interesting for dealers, and Greg, I'd like to know your thoughts. I think I know what they are. But Facebook now has a lookalike audience. So a lookalike audience, basically, it kind of scans or gives you an idea of what your primary target audiences are, and then it will create lookalikes based on that profile of person, what their interests are, maybe where they live. You basically get to choose based on similarities of the target that you want, based on all types of criteria. So if I were a dealership, I'd be looking at both the ad platform as well as what you would do through dark posting and published posts.
Let's, like with the lookalike audience, that's where a lot of people fail when they're doing Facebook, because they go in and you can pretty much figure out how to at least run them pretty easily yourself, even if you don't really know the ins and outs of Facebook advertising. And so you go click off all your demographic settings, and then that's your saved audience. And whenever you run ads, you're running it at that same audience every time. So for as long as you're going to use that audience, you're pushing those ads to the same people, where you could create that audience and then the next month say, I want to use a lookalike audience of this audience. And it creates a lookalike audience that's based on those same demographics.
It'll create a duplicate list,
but it's a different set of people. So now, instead of running it at the same 100,000 people every month, you run it at 100,000 people this month and another 100,000 people this month that are similar but not the exact same. So it helps you keep your ads fresh. It keeps people from getting fatigue of seeing the same stuff from you all the time, and it helps your stuff be a lot more effective.
That's why you guys are two of the gods of the industry. You know that. Hey, Team One Toyota asked a question. What is the industry real CTR on dark post? By the way, guys,
who cares? I think dark post is a big buzzword right now, and all the dealers are like, ooh, it sounds so cool. Dark post that nobody sees. And like, who cares? Who cares? Dark posting is really what dark posting is. Dark posting is something that does not show up in your analytics as coming from Facebook, even though it came from Facebook and it didn't come from you. So if someone shares your inventory list page on their Facebook account and someone else clicks on that and comes to your site, then that's a dark post because you didn't push that post out, but you're still getting traffic from Facebook. Who cares? I want something I can track. I want to run Facebook ads, or I want posts that I'm pushing out that I can say, this is what I posted, this is how much traffic I got, this is how many cars I sold from that traffic.
So dark post looks like a third-party endorsement. I wish we could get an opinion out of Gifford,
though. Well, one of the things that Facebook mentioned when we were there is they really downplayed watching metrics like that, like what's the real click-through rate or even the effectiveness of dark posts. They really downplayed dealers chasing likes and shares. I mean, did they not almost like spend too much time saying dealers are chasing the wrong thing? Like back in the day, hey, let's go to Fiverr and buy 500 new likes for our Facebook page. They're like, don't do that. It's you're following the wrong bullseye.
Perfect example. If Sean didn't have a jacked up computer and he was still showing up like down below here, and I was like, I want to be cooler than Sean. You guys go click on this little hand thing over here to make me have more likes than Sean for this blab session. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's an ego boost for you. Thanks, whoever's funny. Right, but it's an ego boost. Like, who cares how many likes you have? You actually diminish the effectiveness of anything you're doing organically if you get a ton of fans on Facebook. I'd much rather have a dealership that has 500 super engaged fans that keep coming back to the page and keep spreading the word than have a dealership that has 5,000 fans that never see anything that dealership posts.
Let me interrupt a second. Hey, guys. Anybody wants to ask a question, go down to where it says send a message and put in /Q before your question. /Q will make it show up as a question. Okay, so we got a pretty good audience out here, guys. Prioritize.
So Team One Toyota. I don't know if Greg knows it. I don't know what the automotive industry average CTR is on dark posts. Just so there's a very clear answer instead of being like the Republican or Democratic debates, both. That's your real answer. I don't know what it is. If you're really interested, send me an email. I'll certainly reach out to our contacts and find out if anyone actually has it, because
Well, and your click-through rate is going to be different based on how you're running your social. Like a dealership that is running social the right way and has tons of engagement, even organically, like not talking about ads. If we're just talking organic only, they've got a smaller number of followers. I'm not talking like 20, but they're not like bloating it out to like 15,000. They've got a decent number of followers and they're doing things correctly. They're going to have a much higher click-through rate than some dealership that has 10,000 likes and is running a ton of ads. I mean, it's different. And then different cities are going to have different click-through rates. Some cities are going to have a lot more engaged Facebook users than others. So there's no, if we say, oh, the industry click-through rate is X, does that really matter to your dealership? No. What matters is, are you maximizing what you can do at your dealership in your market? Who cares what the guy on the other side of the country is doing?
Does Twitter sell cars?
Yeah. And even Toyota's is probably radically different than Kia's.
Okay, another subject. Does Twitter sell cars?
Yes.
Talk about it.
Twitter users are more affluent and more educated. So Twitter's really great for a lot of highline dealers. Twitter users are a different subset of social media users from Facebook users. Yeah, there will be some overlap, but there's a lot of people like me that much prefer to use Twitter as opposed to being on Facebook. The people on Twitter will communicate quickly, they'll answer you fast, they'll engage with you a lot more if you engage with them, and because they're more affluent, they're more likely to buy. You can run paid ads on Twitter and those work really well too. So it's just a different set, and you've got to figure out per brand where your users are. Are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? We're starting to see a lot of people start to use Instagram for their dealerships, and while most people are failing miserably and not doing it well, there are some dealerships that are starting to see some success there. So you've got to figure out where your customers are and be there. It doesn't matter. If your customers aren't on Twitter, who cares about Twitter? But if you've got customers on Twitter, heck yeah, be there. I've done SEO for some Harley dealerships, and for some reason, Harley enthusiasts have decided that Google Plus is their social network of choice. And so Google Plus works way better than Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest or anything else. So if you're a Harley guy, man, you're going to go be on Google Plus because that's what's going to sell you more bikes. But that doesn't mean that every dealer should go do that. It's specifically, like I said a minute ago, figure out what works for your dealership and maximize the heck out of what works for your dealership.
Your engagement through Twitter in terms of influencers can be massive. And I think the first time that my mind was kind of blown with what Twitter could do was when I met Jeff Kreider when he was still at Lebanon Ford, before he was working with Eric Milch. I did like a case study, this is a few years ago, on social media for dealers, and he started to talk about how they identified Twitter influencers in and around the Lebanon, Ohio area, right? Lebanon is in the middle of Cincinnati and Dayton, kind of in almost nowheresville. But they found people that were influencers both to the north and south of them, and they put together this initial like Twitter campaign that they had a specific criteria. You know, they had to have all of these specifics. They had to have all these specifics that would qualify them as an influencer, but then they put them in new Fords in exchange for what they were going to do through Twitter and a little bit of YouTube and Facebook as well. But through Twitter, the influence there of hashtagging, right, the vehicle they were driving, tagging the dealership with every single thing they were doing with the vehicles, it ended up having this huge lift. But here's the thing, most dealerships, if they're going to try something like Twitter to sell more cars, don't properly manage and track the effort. So they don't even know if Twitter's helping them sell more cars. They just want to know if the Alpha Dog or any of the Jedis you can assemble will tell you yes or no. But it's up to them to actually have tracking in place to know if it works. And I bet you that this lovely lady in front of us has probably a couple thoughts on that.
Cheerleaders, guys. That's why she's here.
I'm a cheerleader for everybody. Oh, it is echoey. No,
Hashtag hire Bobby.
Partner with Bobby. Can you guys hear that echo? Oh, good.
No.
Okay. So what I wanted to say was we don't sell cars on social media. People sell cars. We sell opportunities and engagement. I always think it's interesting when people say that, when they say, oh, when you're selling cars, you're not selling cars. You're selling opportunities. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very true.
And, I use Twitter to direct traffic, to send people somewhere else.
Twitter is a great attention getter.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be where your customer is. And in 2016, that's everywhere.
Absolutely.
I used last week, Jim, I used Twitter. Like this guy, the beard, criticizes the hair all the time on Twitter because he definitely has more followers. But I'm not like chump change in followers, a decent amount. Most of them are automotive folks. But when I'm at events like last week, I do things because I want to promote something that I'm hearing from somebody that I want my audience to hear. And that was you last week, because it's almost like listening to the best like sermon on automotive awesome knowledge ever, like to sit and listen to you talk to an audience. Last week, I tweeted things on, right, your delecship isn't a safe house.
Love
right?
that tweet.
Safe house for underachievers.
For underachievers. That's gold. That's like a fried slice of gold. It's amazing. But you also were talking about, like, don't miss the event, how awesome it is, the opportunity to fire somebody. You don't have to fire everybody, but you got to fire someone. And when you do, it's kind of like an umpire. You're out. Like,
cut. You're off the island.
You're fired.
But isn't that true, though? Aren't there so many people out there that are trying to be so political about it, right? And somebody has to just come out and say, like, get your shit together. It's 2016.
I never fire anybody with any dignity at all.
Well, last week you were throwing out nuggets that I thought my choice for social media was to influence the people that follow me through Twitter. And what happened? Like, people were like, oh yeah, that's great, right? It brings exposure. So kind of to Bobby's point, that same way of bringing exposure and then like letting people influence something, it's the people that end up helping that effort of getting cars sold, right? As opposed to selling it specifically.
Well, I think
Festus Hagen on Gunsmoke. Festus Hagen on Gunsmoke. We're all talking. Okay.
That's because it's a hot topic. But isn't the most recent number something like 92% of people trust peer recommendation through social media versus 36% of people who trust marketing? On our social media, we're huge about birthdays and anniversaries, not because we feel like we need to share that, but because we want them to share it with their friends and then increase our engagement.
Festus Hagen on Gunsmoke, I don't know if you might be too young to remember that, but Festus Hagen,
I remember Gunsmoke. I love Gunsmoke.
He said, this is what I think about firing people. You don't have to fire everybody. But Festus said, Matthew, the time gets real quiet after a hanging.
Well, sometimes you got to fire somebody. Not everybody's the right fit for the same job.
No. I got 4 E's in Zieglerism. You evaluate, educate, elevate, and then you exterminate. Always educate. Always educate and elevate first. You try to bring them up to your standard.
I follow the 3 T's.
Ambush people.
After that, Jim, you got to follow the 3 T's. It's train, transfer, or terminate. Either train them to be good.
Look who's coming in. Oh, my gosh. Look who's coming in. You're going to love this. My favorite people are all showing up.
She's in Kansas. I haven't seen her all week.
I love this woman. I love these women.
Pardon my I'm not working today attire here, but I am working today.
Same thing.
You got that housewifey look about you.
I just wanted to jump in on that because when I first got involved in management, I did the 5-minute manager series. And it wasn't all the E's, but it's either if you have a problem with an employee, they don't know or they don't care. Now, I already heard Bobby curse, so I know that it's okay. I always felt
just no F words or okay.
I heard it. No, I won't. I'm not going to say it at all. It's just a hand signal that I added to the 5-minute manager series. You have a problem with an employee, they either don't know or they don't care. It is your job as a manager to make sure that they know. So if you eliminate the knowing problem, then you know what you're left with. So it's just a thing, you guys. We do need to make an example of some people, but as managers, it's our fault first. If you have a
I'm out of control.
look at it with your people first.
You're absolutely right.
Hi, Bobby. I miss your face.
I miss your face too.
When Sean and I were talking about that speech I gave last week, I said in the car business we don't have a knowing problem, we have a doing problem. I don't teach people a whole bunch of stuff they don't know.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it.
Yeah.
I've had managers say, "Well, I know that." And I said, "Well, did you have a big meeting one day and say, hey, let's stop doing all the shit that works? What's going on here?"
We have a lazy problem.
Right.
We have people who are lazy.
I said,
I
"Shit,
tweeted
too,
that too.
Everybody can say shit."
That's right. I could say.
All right, let's get back into the subject at hand. We're talking about social media. We're talking about, I want to go back to Greg, the big beard. I want to go back to Greg for a second. SEO. Let's talk about the vendors stealing the home slots. You know, the first part of the page, I got Car Gurus, I got Auto Trader, I got Cars.com, I got all these little podunk pirate sites stealing the above the fold on the first page.
And that's not just a problem within automotive. That's a problem within local search. With the update that happened about a year and a half ago, the Pigeon update, Google made a lot of changes to how it calculates local search results. And unfortunately, one of the results of that update, one of the results of that update is that Google does favor directory type sites in local searches. And Google's thought process behind that is, if you're looking at, let's use restaurants as an example. If you're looking at restaurants and you're trying to find a local Mexican food restaurant, then it's going to pop up a list of Yelp's Mexican food restaurant listings, and it's thinking that's a good search result for you, because then you can head over to Yelp and find a bunch of different results that are in your area. With auto dealers, it's going to show the Auto Trader listings for the nearby stuff, or the Craigslist listings for nearby stuff. It's trying to serve up the right kind of results. Unfortunately, those results get clicked, so Google doesn't get the signal that, hey, nobody wants this. Now, we know that the majority of people are not going to click on those links, but unfortunately for now, a lot of times out of the 10 links on the page, we've seen situations where up to 5, 6, 7, even 8 of those listings are the big directory sites for the vendors and not actual local dealerships, which sucks. But in those situations, we see a lot more click-throughs on people that are on page 2 than we typically do, because we know the general public's going to kind of skip those listings and just head right over to page 2 and see the actual dealerships that they're looking for.
Part of that because of the way they pull all the inventory, like Car Gurus, for example, jacking everybody's inventory all the time, and all of a sudden they're number one.
It's not really a situation of them pulling that inventory. It's more Google's not looking at that like a competitor to a dealership. So, if you're looking at all the Chevy dealerships, it's ranking all the Chevy dealerships in order of what it considers to be the best result to the worst result. So it's not comparing Auto Trader and Car Gurus to the dealerships. It's giving an alternative, because it's saying, hey, look, I don't know if you're looking for a specific local dealership or a list of local dealerships. And all of those sites, Google sees them as directory sites. So they are listings of local dealerships, because all those sites are very well grouped to say, here are not necessarily just an inventory set, but a list of dealers in this specific geo area.
Greg,
so because it's got a list of all the Dallas car dealers or whatever, it's going to show up as a search result.
How do you knock those people down on the first page?
That was going to be my question. How do we compete?
Yeah. How do you knock them down?
Unfortunately, you can't, but you can do something called Barnacle SEO. So Barnacle SEO is basically the concept of attaching yourself like a barnacle to the SEO power of the large ship/website that's going to be ranking above you because of its power, and catching traffic that drifts by. So instead of saying, oh, well, Auto Trader sucks and Car Guru sucks or whatever, go to those sites, make sure you're on those sites, make sure you're absolutely, as far as possible, optimizing every possible thing about your listings on that site. And that way, when people do get there, then you're still going to be able to get some traffic, and you'll still see some traffic from that. But overall, I wouldn't really worry so much about showing up on Auto Trader, Car Gurus, because the general public doesn't go to those sites. You're only going to go to Auto Trader or eBay or Craigslist if you're looking for a really specific make and model combo that's not readily available in your area. So if it's anything that's not super uber specific, people are going to skip over those and go to the dealerships because people are going to favor a physical dealership that's local over Auto Trader for anything that's more, and I say generic, it's not really the right word because that implies that it's kind of boring, but anything that's readily available in their local area that they can go physically touch and sit in and test drive, they're going to by far favor that over Auto Trader, where they're like, okay, I have to look through this and maybe it's local, maybe it's not. Auto Trader is really more of something people are looking for when they're looking for something that they know they're going to have to look on a national level. Because
Greg, what about
just say that we need to treat our dealer pages, if we are on those platforms, autotradercars.com, just like we do our citations, and make sure everything's together? Because so many dealers ignore that part.
Absolutely. What about comments? What about putting local SEO into the comments that are feeding out everywhere? Will that help the listing? So
not really, because when you've got your inventory feeding out, everybody knows duplicate content's a really bad thing for SEO. So if you were to have something on your website that's on 10,000 other websites and it's the exact same content in any other industry other than ours, that would be really bad for your website and you would never rank. But within auto, you see every dealership feeding their inventory out to hundreds or even thousands of other websites where that exact same photo set appears and the exact same descriptions appear. That should be really bad for SEO, but Google understands how our vertical works and understands that a dealership is going to feed its inventory out. So that description and that photo set really only counts on your specific rooftops website. It doesn't count for Auto Trader or anywhere else because Google knows that it's the secondary like copy of your actual content. So trying to put all that information on your vehicle descriptions isn't going to do anything for you. It'll help on your website, but it's not going to help.
You're
on
over-modulating a bit there, Greg. You're. What
do you mean?
You're warbling a little bit. You got a little vibration happening. Echo.
Sorry.
I don't know if you're crowding the mic or what you're doing.
Well, I think with comments, it might not have an SEO value, but when everybody's competing at the same price with the same vehicle, adding things into the comments like packages do increase the value of the vehicle so they don't have to be the lowest price. It's hand in hand.
Yep.
You're also, is that just me? What the heck?
Must be just you because I'm hearing everybody
fine. If you're hearing fine, so that's on my end. Okay, let's switch gears again. LinkedIn. Is it worthwhile to sell cars?
Absolutely.
LinkedIn is another. I love to hear from the gals on this.
I use it for recruiting. Oh yes, it helps sell cars for sure.
I use LinkedIn a little bit different than that. So with an upgraded membership in my market where there's a lot of employee business, I can actually go onto LinkedIn and say, show me all the employees that work for Dow Chemical, which is a privately held company, and that list is not available. And I can target them on LinkedIn at any time. In addition, if a lead comes in, we train the BDCs to look on there for their employer so that we're not offering up the wrong price on the first shot. If they work for somebody that qualifies, we already know.
I got a LinkedIn trick that's really cool. Of course, I sell seminars. I sell conferences. So I'll go put car dealer Minneapolis and a couple keywords in there, and I get a dealer. Then I'll start targeting all of their friends, and then their friends. And
it's not working.
I can pick up a big list.
Yeah, did you know
cool.
They recently lowered the age on LinkedIn to be able to come on to 13, and it said that in 2015, 2 people join LinkedIn every 1 second. That's a huge audience.
Well, I like it better than Facebook because I've got 90 some odd 100 people there. Yeah, Facebook. Yeah. I keep throwing people off the boat at 5,000 on my personal page.
LinkedIn is great for B2B advertising opportunities. It's really where DealerOn is starting to actually experiment more with what we do in our marketing because it's B2B, right? We serve dealers who are B2C, which is different, right? So for our own website, DealerOn's website objective is not the same as the dealership. We have to sometimes explain to them when they're like, hey, how come your website isn't just like ours? Because we're not selling cars, genius. right? So we're selling digital marketing services and websites, and we want to be able to market those to a B2B audience. Well, LinkedIn's perfect for that because we can then go and segment the automotive community. Every single one of us, well, all of you guys are going to probably see in a very short period of time, maybe even this weekend, maybe even before Christmas morning, a campaign that we're launching through LinkedIn around 9 SEM questions that you should be asking to make sure you save yourself from catastrophic failure and maybe point yourself towards success. It's a campaign we're launching through LinkedIn. It costs a very, very, very small amount of money in the marketing budget of a company as big as ours. But I'm sure there's a place for dealers to be able to also start to do the same thing. It's just about audience segmentation. It's the same thing with Facebook. And once you start to learn how to customize that audience and put it's what Facebook AdWords has been saying forever. The right ad in front of the right person at the right time, right? Well, LinkedIn certainly offers
that's why you guys are here, because DealerOn is the premier, if not one of the premier, about one of the top web provider builders in the industry. I mean, this forum is for superstars.
Thank you.
Well, Sean, welcome to the crew.
From a dealership perspective, you immediately made me start thinking about fleet sales with LinkedIn, which is something I hadn't thought of before, to be able to reach out and market. If you're doing commercial truck sales or you're doing fleet sales in your regular retail dealership, that's a great opportunity there.
Absolutely.
Jennifer,
we just actually.
You never introduced yourself. Tell people who you work for, what you do.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I just kind of barged in. Jennifer Briggs. I am the Director of Dealer Strategy for Zima Auto, which is a division of the Cardinelli Automotive Group. So I have a unique position where we have 17 dealerships, and we also work with dealerships that are external. So we do consulting on sales process, marketing efficiencies, and those things. Because we've had such great success. If you didn't know, Cardinelli is the number four currently internet sales volume in the country. We are gunning for number 2 for this year's numbers. But
company in the industry.
More importantly, she's my
Bobby,
main chick.
Are you still a vagrant?
Am I still what? You broke up.
A vagrant.
I am. I am still a vagrant. I'm homeless still.
Hire Bobby.
But I'm soon to be moving into a beautiful mansion.
Oh.
The grounds guy's got his work cut out for him.
We're all friends.
Is this when are you going to break into song like "Someday My Prince Will Come" and you're going to start like we're going to see the fairy tale?
My Prince will come. I'm not scared.
Her whole background drops away, like glitter starts raining down.
No songs for me today.
So long, too long.
You have like a whole industry in it, right?
Oh golly, this is out of control. Okay.
This is good.
We're talking
good networking,
LinkedIn.
Good connection.
We're all friends. That's dangerous. Okay. Blogging on the website. Okay.
Essential.
Jump in, guys. Blogging on the website. What's a good?
It's not an option.
Why? Why?
Because content is king. I mean, when you talk about it, I know Greg can talk about this, and we talk about duplicate content, and it can't just be an RSS feed that you're retooling from somewhere else. It has to be good, original content. You need that on your website. You need it to push it out to other places. And like Bobby mentioned, the race to the bottom, I never like to discount a vehicle. I price competitively, and I don't want to step away from that price. But you have to have the value. And blogging helps you sell yourself as an expert in the area that your consumers are looking. Essential. You cannot not do it.
Great.
Well, and in addition to that, it's the customer experience. If a consumer has a question and we answer it, not only are we relevant, but the consumer doesn't need to go elsewhere to look. Now, will they look elsewhere? Sure. But if we're coming up with good content that's valuable to our consumer, we're winning. We're like Charlie Sheen.
Greg, video.
It's a
Greg,
huge...
Video?
What about video?
What value?
Video is awesome.
Video
Everybody should be doing it. Unfortunately, most people suck at it.
People suck at it. You and I might have a disagreement on that. Are you always up for like polished, super produced video, or
No, I would much prefer, and now if we're talking, there's two different sides of the story here. There's video on VDPs, and then there's video as a marketing strategy. So the video on VDPs, you can go and use one of the providers that's going to do your photo stitch, and maybe it's got some music, and maybe it's got real audio voices instead of computer or whatever. I would much rather have a crappy iPhone handheld walk around video of that car than a photo stitch video.
We do agree, because I want a video to look like a home movie. If I
want it to be real. I don't want a photo stitch video. Is not a video. It's a slideshow.
Yeah.
It's credible.
I want it to be credible.
It's not a commercial. It's credible, and it humanizes the dealership easily.
That's the purpose of video.
But you shouldn't stop at VDP videos. You shouldn't stop at vehicle videos. Throw some videos on your About Us page. Let us see your dealership. Let us feel your personality, because we know that people are going to be looking around. It's like we were just talking about with the blog content. We know that people are going to look at an average of at least 10 sites before they become a lead, whether they're going to show up or fill out a form or make a phone call. You've got to differentiate yourself. That's what at the very beginning, we were talking about SEO. Everybody's got a website now. You got to do something to stand out from that crowd. And video is a huge way to do that. And if you use video the right way, you can really get your personality across and help yourself stand out, so that, sure, people are going to shop around, but they're going to come back to you because you had so much more information and such better information and the answers to all their questions. And that's why they're going to come by.
And isn't it the truth now that people are looking for a dealership first and the salesperson second, right? We're gauging people on that. So if we provide a video that humanizes us as an opportunity, we're more likely to engage with that consumer. We do second deliveries on video. We send videos for everything.
I'm a big believer in video. I was a pioneer in video. It's amazing. I spoke at Digital Dealer 3, I believe it was. And I mean, back in the day, and I held up, do you remember the flip cameras?
Oh, yeah. My first VDP, every single person had a flip camera.
I said, does anybody know what this is? And nobody in the audience knew what it was. Mm-mm. And I had just learned about it a month before at the National Speakers Convention. And Terry Brock had presented the flip camera. So I took an interview with somebody in the audience. I put it in my laptop right on the podium, emailed it to myself, and played it back on the screen. And people thought, wow, he's amazing. I just learned it.
You know, one of the things that we do in the majority of our stores is we reply back to every lead with a walk around video. Now, are we perfect? No, none of us are. But we do that because it humanizes us in that situation. And it causes people to be more polite and to feel more valued. And I always hear everybody talk about how people buy from how they know, like, and trust. I call bullshit. I don't buy stuff all the time from people that I know, like, and trust. I buy things from people who make me feel important and valued and worth your time. And if not, I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Period.
Customer satisfaction.
One thing I want to say about video.
Yeah. I said that at a JD Power roundtable because, I called Dave Power a communist in a lot of my, and so to make up with me, they put me on stage. And as Sean Raines will tell you, I'm pretty outspoken for the audience. I will say what's on my head. So I get up there and I said, and I got Dave Power sitting in the third row. I said, customer satisfaction as a reason why somebody would buy from you is worthless. People expect to be satisfied. I woke up this morning in a Ritz-Carlton hotel. Everybody knew my name. The sheets were smelling really good. The food was excellent. The towels were so fluffy you couldn't shut your suitcase. I mean,
they were in the suitcase.
I didn't say, damn, I'm satisfied. People don't know when they're satisfied. They only know when they're dissatisfied.
Absolutely.
No, people expect to be satisfied. It never occurs to them that they're happy.
Well, I'd like to share just a little tip with the dealers that are on this blab about video, because everybody says it's too hard to do a live walk around. Well, if you're a new car franchise, create a library. It's not that difficult. Go do the walkarounds, use a Word document, upload them to YouTube, and every single one of my internet agents has a Word doc saved on their desktop that has a video of every new car model, live walkaround. They get a lead on that. All they have to do is open up that document saved on their desktop, copy that hyperlink and put it in the email. Actually, they get graded down if a video doesn't go out in the email. It's not fancy technology. It's not anything that you're paying for. Just save it. It's efficient and use it every single time.
And then load it onto your website. And let's get some dual use out of this. You know, what about SEO on YouTube? Greg, you can speak to that. How important is that when you're loading a video? How important is it that you're captioning it and you're tagging it correctly? What do you think about that?
Oh, it's hugely important. If you're going to make all these videos, you might as well throw them up on YouTube, because there's a lot of people that use YouTube as their primary search engine now. And it's the second biggest search engine behind Google, and it's owned by Google, so it indexes really well in Google. So if you're playing in video at all, you've got to be using YouTube, and you've got to be optimizing everything you're doing there, or you're
Let me say something about that.
But don't do everything that everyone else does. That's the one thing about video is, I mean, you can get a website, but you can get the same piece of shit website that everyone else has and do the same things with it, right? You can get paid search, but you can get it through some crappy provider, and it's the same stuff, and you're one of the same exact ad on the same page, right? The only difference is your URL. Video is similar, right? You can. How many people buy their video from the same vendor? A lot of people, right? Well, if you don't do anything else to differentiate with video, then you're just like everyone else. That's, you know, when everyone's special, no one is special. So think about the things like Mike Davenport, what he'll do with video. I'm sure that Bobby and Jennifer, that you guys probably send videos to each other just about, hey, we're best friends. Like, what? Okay, well, it's the same concept, like, of making you feel comfortable and making you feel important, with the ability to have what's in everyone's pocket. Like, okay, you've got a customer, and maybe the last thing that you can do, yeah, they've seen the video that's on the VDP, they've seen the one that you have preloaded, but they haven't seen the one that you just recorded when you walked out to the vehicle with the keys, and you opened the hood, and you started the car, and you got in the back seat, and you're like, I'm so lonely back here, maybe you could join me, or whatever. Be funny, right?
Crawl through the trunk.
That pushes people. Well, somebody had made the comment. Someone made the comment a minute ago that training personnel on improv might be a good idea for video, and I laugh about that all the time. My first go around in college, I was a theater major, and I really do think that ability. I see that training with.
Oh my gosh, so much more makes sense now.
You get it.
He speaks a brilliant British.
They're camera shy. So I thought that was a great message that that somebody put up there about training them on improv and getting them to be funny. We did like a sales tax sale, and we had like a superhero theme, and we just used iMovie, a $5 app, and it was awesome. We had prices, we had salespeople being funny and cool with capes. And
Well, and let's talk about the generation that we're marketing to in the next 10 years. So starting today, I mean, I'm a millennial. I'm not 21. I'm 34.
All those millennials stay at home on mom's pull-out sofa and play Xbox all day.
Just some of them. But here's the thing. They're driving a car to go out with their friends and hang out with mom. And so we have to really start thinking about video like we think about Snapchat, or we think about Instagram or Vine. 5-10 second videos. Not everything has to be a minute and a half long. We're trying to engage a generation that pays attention for less than 6 seconds. The average goldfish pays attention for 8. So we really have to focus on these things, right? This is where our customers are. This is who we're focusing on.
They need $15 an hour.
Right. To give you a hamburger.
Oh man, this is a great broadcast. We can get this crowd back together. We
all do well together.
Yeah.
That's because Greg and Sean are awesome, and of course, Jim, you're fantastic. Oh, now, Bobby,
unquestionable. I don't sugarcoat things, so I'm not for everybody.
We're talking. Let's get back into some SEO, because we got the ultimate god of SEO here. We got Greg Gifford. I mean, let's talk about Greg. Rant on.
I mean, I would just kind of reiterate what I was saying earlier, that SEO is really not an option anymore. And I'm not saying that from a, hey, come buy SEO for me. I'm saying that from a, if you want your dealership to do well next year and moving forward, you've got to do it from somebody, and make sure you're getting it from somebody legitimate that understands what they're doing and is actually going to help you and isn't just taking your money.
Is a real option, a real marketing tool?
SpyFu is a great tool for research on pay-per-click type stuff. It's not really anything related to organic
Is SpyFu
SEO.
a good tool to spy on your competitors and see what they're doing, what their marketing strategy, what their spend is?
You can't truly see what their spend is because it's basically extrapolating what their spend probably is based on the ads that they're running, where those ads are placed, and what it knows the average cost of ads are for that area. So it's more of a guide. It's not like if you run it and say, oh, my competitor's spending $5,500, that you know they're spending $5,500. They could be spending $4,000. They could be spending $8,000. But when you're looking across the board at all your competitors in town, it gives you a gauge of the levels that each person is committing towards their
So
paid
it gives
strategies.
you a guide better than
And
nothing.
it's a good tool. I personally prefer to use SEMrush over SpyFu.
Tell us about
I'm writing this
Yeah.
down. Everybody else should be too.
Oh, good. I didn't because I knew you would. Send me your notes.
SEMrush. Tell me about that.
It's a similar tool to SpyFu. You basically can drop in a URL for one of your competitors, and it's going to go out and it's going to check all of the ads that person is running. Obviously, it's not going to catch everything, but again, it's a general guideline, and you could download a list of all the ads they're running and see the ad copy, see the keywords that they're targeting, see their budget, see potential traffic that they could be getting from that. So it's a really good tool, especially, we use it a lot when we're doing SEO. Like, even though my team doesn't do any paid advertising, but we use SEMrush as a research tool, because if we're starting to do SEO for a dealership that's in a market that we haven't worked in before, there's little idiosyncrasies about each brand in each market that's going to be different. And so we'll pop in on SEMrush and look and see what all the other guys in town are running their paid ads against, because we know that if they're spending significant money there, that's converting for them, and that it's an important term. So that helps us sometimes uncover things that we wouldn't have thought to do in that market because we're just not familiar with that area. And so it helps a lot of times when you're trying to see, I want to ramp up really quickly. Let's see what's important to everybody else. Now, I don't want to take it in the range of, I want to do exactly what those guys are doing, but it lets you see what's important to the other guys, which can sometimes, kind of give you a little bit jump ahead in your research process, get you to the end point a little bit quickly, more quickly than you would.
So real quick, just having stores all over the country, for me, I have 16 different stores in all different states. But here's the thing. What I heard Greg say just now is that you're using the tool to look at what keywords are important in a market that you're not familiar with. I can't tell you how many different general managers and marketing directors say to me, oh my God, my competition, they're doing so good. I need to know what they're doing. They're closing car deals better than you. Their ad copy is probably not that good. It doesn't matter what they're spending, because that doesn't determine what you're doing. Let's actually look into what you're doing, improve the process, improve the people, close some car deals, and then let's do the marketing the right way instead of copying our competitor who probably hired an idiot.
Well, they're chasing. I love that you brought that up, Bobby, because it brings it back to, yes, products are awesome, but it doesn't matter how much traffic you drive if your process is broken.
Yeah.
A lot of people have asked, what did you do that was so special that got you whatever accolades you got? I'm like, well, I fixed a broken process in a number of different dealerships.
You put the work
that
in.
comes first. Then you work with awesome people and partners that can help you with the product part. But don't fix all your stuff and drive all that traffic and not be ready to handle it in your store, because you're just burning money at that point.
I think one of the
Well, I get questions from dealers too. The dealers will say, hey, if I start doing SEO, how many more cars am I going to sell? And I'll say, I don't know. It's up to your process. I can tell you you're going to get more leads, but that doesn't mean you're going to sell more cars, because I've worked with dealers in the past that I've doubled or even tripled their leads, and they don't sell any more cars because their processes are so busted.
Yeah.
So, you've got to make sure that everything's in line. You can't just say, oh, if I start spending money on PPC and SEO, I'm going to sell a bunch more cars. You got to look at everything in-house too and make sure that all your ducks are in a row.
And it has to evolve. I know that Bobby has talked about this, and some other people have, about the road to the sale is changing. The consumer's changing. We just have to handle them differently and look at that and make sure that we're not missing anybody or let anything slip through the cracks. I hopped into a CRM the other day and I almost had a heart attack because of the number of active opportunities with no follow-up. I'm like, what? I'm not giving you any more opportunities. Let's sell cars to this 800 people.
You know what kills me?
We'll worry about driving
You know what
less.
kills me, Jen? Jim, you'll like this. I was raised in this business by a mentor who was 78 years old, smartest guy I ever knew. The first thing that he taught me when I came into the business was how they used to sell the book of business that they had built for $5-10 grand in like the 80s. And now it's like pulling hair to get somebody to make a prospecting call.
I
like
sold my Rolodexes when I got into management. I mean, I had big flat file Rolodexes.
Absolutely.
I sold them to a salesman.
Yeah, selling cars in 2016 is not just marketing and it's not just process. It's hiring smart people to do your marketing or to help you understand getting out of their way and fixing the broken processes on your floor. Greg said something at a conference 2 years ago that made me just fall in love with him for SEO and SEM. And it was, he said, don't hire anybody who doesn't sell and who does not attend conferences on the regular that have nothing to do with automotive. If you're hiring a company that's sticking people in a cubicle to watch webinars, you might as well hire an intern. If you want to hire somebody who really knows what they're doing, you make sure that they're educated. And Greg's team is.
We've been on an hour, guys. Do you believe in that? I'm looking at Sean Raines over there, and that new look of Sean, if they ever remake the movie Popeye, I've got Bluto.
I like it. And Sean's wearing black.
Sean's new look.
Oh, wait, he never wins, though.
He doesn't.
I always win. He never wins.
What can I say? Oh, golly.
You know, it's interesting. So we're talking about things that kind of go back to that, the difference, the big gap between knowing and doing, right? So from a vendor side, when Greg's talking to dealers that are interested in SEO, or we're talking to dealers about higher conversion rates on their website, one of the questions that we ask, and it's a really good question to ask, is what would happen if your internet leads tripled overnight?
Nothing, because they would not be closing them.
And your dealership. Well, that's the problem. Is it would cripple most dealerships. At first, they would be like, "Oh, that'd be the best thing ever! Like tripled overnight, fantastic! It's so wonderful." And then they really think about it, and they'd be screwed with a capital F, if you know what I mean. Because the processes don't exist, or the people to execute against those processes don't exist. So it's be careful what you wish for. If you don't have those process pieces in place, you don't even have any business trying to hire Greg, because he's going to flood you with more organic opportunities to sell cars. But if there's no process in place, it's not going to make any difference. And it goes for so many other services, and especially marketing choices that dealers can make. Figure out what's going on in your processes before you start overspending on services that you don't even know how to evaluate whether they're worth the money you're spending.
Everybody give everybody some props here. Let's clap for the little hands in the corner. Yeah. Okay. Who's got the most props here? Okay, the boys do.
I need more props. I'm giving myself. I can't give myself.
Let's see if we can get Bobby.
I came in late.
Hey, Bobby, you just passed him.
Well, you know what they say. It's all about quantity.
This has been one fun broadcast.
But she doesn't have a lightsaber.
Can we get back and do this again sometime?
You guys have a lightsaber.
Hop off. I got to go help an awesome dealership, guys.
Oh, I'm recording off. 5, 4, 3, 2. Goodbye.